got some positive music. So before Pastor jumps on and we start this interview, let's get it. Let's go. Oh, yeah. It's already done. Let's go. The battle is won. There is no question for me to worry. It's already finished. When you start moving, let's go. And that's what they always say, man. But make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe, man. Subscribe on YouTube, rate and review wherever you can rate and review. I appreciate all my listeners. Shout out to all the podcasters, all the creators. Let's get it. Hey. Well, my pastor jump on. We're going to start this, man. Let's get it. Thank you for listening, man. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for all the continued listeners and the support. Make sure you go over to the podcast merch store and get your merch. Hey, look, it's different, man. Let's go. Yeah. I hope y'all really enjoyed this episode, man. It's going to be a good episode. Let's get it. Now and forever. It's already finished. Yeah. Oh, we're going to switch the vibes. Let's go to the next one. Let's get it. Wait for Pastor to join in. Pastor ain't on yet. Forgive me for the noise in the background. Home improvement is real. Life has us on the ropes. Misunderstandings, hate running rampant. Every man out for his own. Let's go. It seems like we've lost our way. Every day. Thought that we had caught in the night. Oh, ain't it tragic? But you said if we turn from our wicked ways, humble ourselves and pray. Yeah. Let's get it. Thank you for subscribing on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, comment, rate below. Rate and review wherever you have the opportunity to rate and review. I appreciate your support, man. Let's go. Yes. Oh, yeah, we got Pastor on. Let's go. He coming through. Hey, Pastor. How you doing, Pastor?
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Amen. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord, Pastor. Thankful that you was able to jump on the podcast with me. Really appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I start the podcast,
I was trying to hook it up on my computer, but I had a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm on my cell phone.
Okay.
All right.
Intro on the podcast. I like to set the mood on each episode.
All right.
And of course, I knew you was coming on, so I had to make sure I set the mood right for you, Pastor.
I feel you. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I know you're a busy man, Pastor.
So we don't want to keep you on here long, Pastor.
All
So
right.
look, Pastor,
Sure.
you just had a birthday.
Yeah, man. I got 3 extra years. You know, it's and the Bible said we get 70, and if for good behavior, you get a little extra.
So look, you're 73 years younger, right?
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know you still moving like you in your 30s.
Hey, man. Hey. Man,
So look,
last week I had one of the roughest basketball games. Man, they don't have no mercy on me.
oh, you still out here trying to play basketball, huh? I thought
Well,
you
look,
retired 3 years ago.
I did, but then the pandemic came, and so I got
Yeah.
this court out backyard, right?
The one that you
So
fixed
I
and
never,
added the wood to.
yeah. So I got a chance to practice that left hand. See, you know, I never did have a good left hand,
Yeah.
and so I said, well, I'm gonna do 2 hours every day shooting the left hand on me.
Okay.
So this time I was ready for it.
Yeah.
You know, had to take a couple of ibuprofen the next day, but I was fine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. 2 hours, of course. So look, Pastor. So look, I was thinking about when I was I was a little nervous about this interview, right? And I don't know why, because me and our relationship comes natural, right? So I got to thinking about how me and you met, right? So like my initial meet with you was supposed to be for the christening of my child, right?
Yeah.
So look, so that was the initial meeting, right? There's only been 2 pastors in my life that I really felt like, were mentors, father figures, and whatnot, right? And one was Pastor Jackson, who died maybe 15, 20 years ago. And then it's you. There's only 2 pastors that really touched me in a way that made me, humble myself, right? If that made sense. And what I would say is a lot of the teachings that I learned from you regularly, even through just regular conversations with you, I use those things and I apply those things to my life. So let me ask you this, right? When it comes to like, how do you balance being the minister, right, religious leader, and then trying to balance, the day to day of just regular life?
Yeah, well, man, the first thing is this is. I'm glad you asked me that question because I knew you was gonna ask me that question. I don't know how, but this morning in my prayer, God gave me this, and this is really what I do with my life and how I find my balance from this little scripture right here. And here's what it says. This is Jeremiah 10:23. Oh Lord, I know the way of man is not in himself. It's not in man who walks to direct his own steps. Amen. So the thing is that once I realized that, and it took me a long time to realize that I cannot do it outside of my own strength. It's just too much stuff going on. Remember now, I had a business I was running. I was raising 2 daughters, and a husband, son, and I had all these things, right? And so I didn't want to take anything from my children, because I was robbed of that. My father left when I was 10. So then I didn't have that father figure in my life. So I had my mom's, but she was working all the time. So then that left me to be raised in the streets. So I missed all that, the intimacy with the parents. My mom's she tried to be a nurturer and a disciplinarian. That doesn't work. You can't do both of those, but she did it. But the only thing is that she placed in me the fear of God and the love of God. So once I brought God into my life, that's when my organization started. And so I was able to devote time to the practice, because God will miraculously make a way. But every time, here's what I did with my kids when I was coming up, was when I had my first kid, I would take her with me, even when I went to the barber shop. that was crazy, man. Because the barbershop back in the day, where they be in there cursing and everything, right? I bring my daughter in there, man, and I knew the owner, right? I said, look, if you don't want me to come up here, man, I got to bring my daughter with me. I said, if you don't want me to bring my daughter, that's fine. But if I bring her, then we got to do something about this cursing. So every time I bring it, he said, look, we got a lady in the house. And I mean, everywhere I went, I took my daughter with me. That kept me in check, and gave her what she needed, you know. And then my business, because I would take her to work with me when I can. I wanted to spend time, be that example for her. So I was working and daddying at the same time, giving my wife some relief, you know. And so it just really, really worked out well, And the thing is that it's hard work and sacrifice. And you'll hear me say that all the time. They say, Pastor, how you doing? I say, hard work and sacrifice.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So
Go
look,
ahead.
when you talk about those things, that's why I admire you so much, because I embody some of those same tools in myself. I only
Mhm.
thing I won't do is take my daughter to the barbershop, because my daughter, that's the only thing. But when it comes to
Yeah.
like hard work and sacrifice, right? That
Amen.
is true to my DNA. What I
Mhm.
don't ever choose money over my family. If I
All
feel
right.
like I'm losing myself in the job and I'm losing
Mm-hmm.
myself at home because of work, I
Mm-hmm.
would rather eliminate the distraction. And then, because
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, I understand what's most important. So that's another
Right.
reason,
Mm-hmm.
it made it so easy for me to become a member of your church, become
Mm-hmm.
family,
Yeah.
and treat you like, more than just a pastor. So then my next
Mm-hmm.
question would be, okay, running your business, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How were you able to? How do you believe that you were able to? The
Mm-hmm.
longevity part of it, where you were able to say, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I accomplished this, and then I can
Mm-hmm.
retire and say I'm comfortable and there's no worry.
Uh-huh. Amen. Now that required a lot of planning, right? And a lot of blessings. Because the first thing is that I didn't have a job. I had a heart. See, I was one of those blessed ones that uh, knew what I wanted to be, but I was sidetracked. Remember that story? I
Hmm.
dropped out of high school,
Yeah,
and God told me I was going to be a dentist, but I took the long
yeah,
way around.
yeah,
Got all beat up. Went to Vietnam. I got GED in Vietnam.
yeah,
And when the bullets started coming at me, man, they threw me in that infantry. And I was in there with the bullets, the guns, and all that old crazy stuff, man. That's when I got to know God real good. Because He pulled
yeah,
out some miracles to get me back alive.
yeah,
And when I left there, God brought me back. I swore I'd serve if He get me back home, because it was impossible, man. It's just
yeah.
crazy.
Hmm.
And then when He got me back home, I got it in the university. I'm gonna skip a whole lot of stuff, but I got it in the University of Maryland with all F's on my transcript and the GED.
Yeah,
But I wasn't qualified really to go to college because I didn't have the background, you know.
yeah.
And so it was a miracle how God got me through all those classes, because it wasn't me. I'm telling
Hmm.
you, it was not me.
Yeah.
So, and I graduated with honors and got a scholarship to go to dental school. And that was not me. The thing is,
Hmm.
I was really, and this is good for folk to realize that you have so much in you that you're not even aware of, you know? And the first thing come to mind is people would say, I can't do that. If I had to stop for a minute and look at what I had to go through to get to where I was going, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I had a call coming in. I
Okay.
never did. I never did stop for a minute and consider the stuff I had to go through, the chemistry I had to go through, the mathematics and the physics that I had to go through in order to get to where I'm going. But uh, that never phased me for some reason. I just accepted the challenge. I was going to do what I had to do, and I was going to get through this with God's help. And I did. And I got the scholarship. And I got dental school, man. When I got dental school, I just knew this was it. This is what I was called to do. So when I opened up my business, I just my wife found a house with the office in the basement, which is the best thing in the world when you got kids, right? So I was working at home, had my home office. So that gave me a lot of time with my wife, and she was working with me. So we had a good thing going because we didn't have to leave the house to work. Then it was a hobby to me. That's the part I'm getting to. Doing dentistry was a hobby, wasn't a job. I love getting up in the morning and going down there and doing what I'm doing because I was a person that needed that gratification. You know, I had to see something done in order to be gratified. That means that if you come in with broken down mouth, that day when I worked on you, I could look back and say, wow, you know, and that's what gave me satisfaction. And I was gratified. And so it was a hobby. It's like somebody going out and playing golf, you know, and just relaxing. That's what I did. When I was at work, I was in my zone. And then so it was, I was getting paid real well for a hobby. I never had a job for 38 years.
Yeah.
I had a hobby. And so that's what I say. Find something that you love to do. And that's why young people, if they find something they love to do and then invest all their time in that and the energy, you know, they got to make the sacrifices to get there. Because once you get there, then you can do what you want to do. You know,
Exactly.
here's what I always said: you got to do what you got to do till you get in a position to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I finally got in a position. I sacrificed, man. All my buddies got out of gun school. They bought the big Mercedes and all that. You know what I bought? I bought a Sentra, a little red, little tiny, a little tiny Sentra. But my wife and I had said that we're going to give these girls the best education that we could afford.
Yeah.
So instead of investing in the car like I wanted, you know, and the big house that I wanted, we had a nice size house, but the big house that I wanted and she wanted, we said, no, we figured out we got this right here and we're going to send these kids. So we spent a whole lot of money on their education, but you could tell, you could be a witness how beneficial it was.
Yep.
Because
look at your
one's a
kids.
doctor, one's a lawyer. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You can't beat that. Look, that's the type of the sacrifice and hard work. Exactly what you said. All right. Then the next
Amen.
thing is having that support system in the corner, right? Because you say you
Yeah.
like to. One of the highlights of your career, your hobby, was being able to look back and say, "I did that. This is me." Okay, but what role does the wife play in your success?
Oh, here's the deal. She was the one that picked out the schools and everything for the daughters. She spent her time finding out, mapping out a path for them and finding out what was good for them according to their personalities. You know, because Danielle got a scholarship to go to University of Maryland. And my wife came to me and she said, I don't think she's going to do well there because it's just too big and too much freedom. That's the oldest one.
Yeah.
Because both our daughters are so different, right? And so what we did was we let her search around, but we guided her to Hood College, which was all female,
Yeah.
right? And that's what she excelled at. But my wife just knew it. She was a psychology major, so she knew that. The other one, see, each child is different.
Yeah.
You know, parents don't treat children like they're, you know, like they different. They got a cookie cutter attitude, like all of them are the same. And Cherie was more serious, so you could lose her and she's gonna do well. So she went all the way to Iowa State, you know, and she was like a fly in the milk, and she loved that because everybody there wanted a black friend. So she was just loose and had a good time. Huge university. She could handle that. So that's what my wife played. And then my wife helped me out when I started the business. She was running the front end and I was doing the back end, you know.
Okay.
So it's a team thing when you're raising children. See, it's like we're all in for the kids. We're all in for the business, you know, because the business pays the bills and educate, but you have to work together,
Yep.
you know. because you're gonna have your differences. But look, the thing is that don't go to bed angry.
That's what I always
You
hear.
know?
And you've
Yeah,
been telling me
don't
that
go.
since the moment I got married.
Yeah, don't go to bed angry. Just go ahead and apologize. Swallow it sometimes. And my wife, she apologizes sometimes, and I have to choke and swallow my pride and apologize. But it's just a waste of time because that's how we let the enemy in, right?
Yeah,
Because if we're not talking, we're not communicating, we're not accomplishing anything.
yeah,
So that's how we did it. We worked together on that. She worked for me for 20 years.
yeah,
That means that you got to see this, Mike. Now, she worked for me 20 years. We lived in the same house, worked in the same house.
yeah,
So the only time she might have went out with her girlfriends and stuff, but we worked together for 20 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And people say, yeah, I worked together all that time. I say, yeah, because we had a goal.
Mm-hmm.
See, if you don't have a plan, you don't have a goal, then anything could throw you off.
Yeah,
But if you're in a marriage, you got to have a goal. You
mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? You got to have some standards because here's what happens. That's what builds character, Mike, is trying to stay true to that mission that you and your wife set, right?
Yeah,
Stay true to that. And then when you form that character, then the conduct will come because of the character that you have.
yep.
And then that conduct ends up in destiny. And that was the destiny we had. That was the end point that we wanted for our children. And when they walk across those stages, we just high five each other.
So I know every time I've needed Pastor, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's for a funeral, wedding, or
Mm-hmm.
christening, Pastor has always been there. So let me ask you this, Pastor.
Yeah.
Through all the
Uh-huh.
hard work, through all the dedication to your family, what does
Mm-hmm.
vacation look like to Pastor?
Oh, vacation. Well, before this pandemic came, we
I
that's
know
see
y'all took a
vacation.
cruise.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Before that, what we did was we got a timeshare when my kids was real small
Yeah.
because my wife emphasized that we needed vacation. I wasn't into vacation because when I was coming
Me
up,
either. My wife is all about planning vacations.
I was
I don't
not
know
in.
what
I was not
vacations look like.
in. Me either. Look, let me tell you how they brainwash me. My vacation, my mom's had me brainwashed, right? Tell them, yeah, I'm going on vacation and send us down South Carolina to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one day my brother came back after a few summers down there working hard for my grandmother on her farm, and he told my mother, he said, "Mom, there ain't no vacation. They working down on the weather out there." She said, "The vacation is not for you, son. It's for me."
That's the
So
same
that's
thing
why
my
I said,
grandmother used to say when she used to
yeah.
send me to her sister's house. So I know exactly what you
Yeah,
mean.
yeah, but that's and so we got to spend a lot of time down on the farm, man, and we got the family got the kids got bonded. We bonded real well because of that. But what was your original question?
What does vacation look like to you?
Oh, good, yeah. So I didn't know anything about vacation, right? So my wife was always talking about these vacations and everything, you know. And I was just thinking, I was saying, "Whoa, we spent all the money on the education and all that." But anyway, she talked me into getting the timeshare. Then we started talking, and what we found out was that memories was the most important. You're making
Time.
memories.
Yep. Time and memories. You can't get that time back.
That's right. And the memories are so important because here's what happens now. Look, we got so many memories, so much stuff to laugh at because so much stuff happened on all these trips. Then when we get together for Thanksgiving or anything, somebody started talking about this trip, and we just fall out laughing. And I mean, it's just so many memories
Yeah.
because we would take so many trips, and we never forget these little incidents that happen. And my wife is usually the butt of the jokes because something would have happened to her
I
every
know.
trip.
All the time.
Every trip.
It's never me. It's always her. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, boy, making memories is so important. And that's what the vacations was all about. That bonding and just having good laughs together and making memories.
Mhm.
Invaluable.
Yeah. So each
And
episode, right? I like to leave my listeners
mhm,
with some sort of motivation, right? And today
mhm.
we're gonna leave that up to you, Pastor. What
Okay.
could you
All
say
right.
to my listeners that may be struggling, maybe
Mhm,
struggling through anxiety, maybe
yeah.
struggling through COVID? Maybe it's been
Hmm.
2 years. A lot of people been jammed in their house. A lot of people
Hmm.
don't have the money that they may have prior to
Hmm.
COVID. So, what do you
Uh,
say to uplift those people?
yeah. Well, this is what I did, and just see the thing is, I don't want to put anybody in a box because
Yep.
I found my comfort in the Lord. See,
Hmm.
and folk who haven't found that area yet, it's a good thing to start right there searching. You know, and that's where you're gonna find your peace at. I don't care what you're going through. You know, and folk have a misconception of who Christ and God is. God is not a man that's sitting up there waiting to punish you because you do wrong. He's sitting up there to bless you. But our time is so divided on so many things in the world that we don't have time to focus on Him and just thank Him. See, the Bible is tricky because it goes against everything that the way that we think. But one thing I want you to, if I was to leave you with a nugget, it was this right here, that God said, give thanks in all things. Now, the reason that you do that, you got to realize you're not in control of everything, that God is in control. And though things might seem like, why did this have to happen? And why did this have to happen? Now, really quick, if you go back and just read the Ten Commandments thing, you'll see that when the people started complaining, God got upset with them because that means that they didn't trust Him. When you start complaining and you say you believe in God, then you don't trust Him because you don't understand how good He is. And it had to do with this. When I was drafted in the Army, I thought that was the worst thing that could ever happen to me in my life. Because at that time I was working construction, I was making a whole lot of money. It seemed like I was getting my life right. I was even going to church more. And all of a sudden this happened. And I said, God, what happened? What's up with this? I got a nice bank account, I got a good job, got a brand new car, and get ready to get my apartment, and I'm getting drafted. That's the worst thing in the world. Then they sent me to Vietnam. I said, God, this is crazy, you know? And so I got a little upset, but I never did let my principles go with God, right? And then when I got in the bullets, I started praying for He came through. See, in that difficult times. And here's what happened. When I look back over, if I hadn't got drafted, I would have never got that GED. I would have never went to college. Met all the wonderful folk I did. Would have never went to dental school, you know. And then I would have never met my wife in college. I would have never had those two beautiful kids that I had. I would have never had 38 years of starting my own practice and then selling it for a nice penny, and then retiring, and then 100% disability for going to Vietnam with that Agent Orange. I get a big check every month from that, Mike.
I
A
know
nice check.
somebody who's look. I know someone. I don't mean to stop you. That is
Yeah.
on his way to 100% disability too, and
Hey.
he's much younger than you, but
Yeah.
he's at 100, almost at 100% as well. So I know.
Well, I'm there, Mike. I've been there since 17.
Okay.
Since 2017, and everything is free. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to pay taxes on your house. You don't have to buy tags or your
Ooh,
medical, and everything is. It's like all of a
you
sudden,
you
you
so
get all
spoiled,
this money and
Pastor.
you get everything free. Then look, then you get your Social Security, Mike. and it's
Oh,
tax
Pastor,
free. The stuff is tax free.
look at you.
You don't have to pay taxes on it. Man, this thing is ridiculous. And see,
Yeah,
I thought it was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. But the key is not to complain.
yep,
Yeah. See, when you
yep.
start complaining, if you look in that Bible, that's when God turns the other way because he knows you don't trust him.
And I
Even in the
believe
worst
that.
circumstances, if you could squeeze out a thanksgiving, say, God, I know you're going to work this out. It look bad now. Look like I'm losing my job right now, but I know you got something better for me if you're going to let this.
Amen.
I thank you. You start thanking him in the tough times. That's the kingdom of God. It's upside down. It's different from the
Oh
world.
man, you
You
preaching
know.
what I preach regularly.
Go
I
ahead.
I feel like
Amen.
sometimes people wait until they're in the toughest moment to try to thank God and lean on Him. But the key
Mm-hmm.
is to lean on Him when things are going great.
Good. Amen.
So that
That's right.
means that when the devil does try, you already don't got your
Mm-hmm.
arm on. You already ready. And
Amen.
I say that going through my current situation with that
Mm-hmm.
red truck that I no longer have anymore.
Go ahead. Amen.
I could be sitting here frowning and upset, but I'm
Mhm.
prepared. As tough as it
Amen.
is, I'm
Uh-huh.
prepared.
All
And
right.
so, Pastor, I want to thank you for joining my podcast, Pastor.
Amen.
I really
Pleasure.
appreciate you for always having my back when I need you. You don't
Amen.
understand, Pastor. Sometimes when I think about the goodness of God and all He's brought
Mm-hmm.
me through,
Mm-hmm.
I sit in my little space that I'm in now, and I just sit back and I meditate and just thank Him because it could have
All
been the
right.
other way. You feel
Yes.
me?
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
So, like I said, Pastor, thanks again,
Mhm.
Pastor. I really
Hey,
appreciate you, Pastor. You go on,
anytime.
enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk
Amen.
later, okay, Pastor?
All right. Talk to you.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
All
I'll
right.
let you. God
Okay.
bless.
God bless. So, as y'all can see, man, that was an amazing interview. Make sure you rate and review wherever you have the opportunity to rate and review. Make sure you comment below. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you go over to the podcast merch store and get your merch. Get your merch. We're coming down to the last few weeks of these cold days. Man, thank you for your support. I am your personal trainer. I am your motivator. Peace.